Hey everyone, welcome back to your Polymer Bazaar Executive Explainer. Today we're diving into your authoritative polycarbonate weekly update and future trend analysis for the fourth week of July 2026. We've got a ton of shifting momentum across the global bazaars right now, so let's just jump right in. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll start with feedstock and a global overview, then check out the Western bazaars in the US and Europe, swing over to the Eastern bazaars in China and India, look at the buying pulse and market drivers, and wrap up with our strategic purchase recommendation. All right, part one, feedstock and global overview. Let's establish that baseline. So to set the stage here, our critical feedstock, bisphenol A, closed at exactly 9,650 RMB per metric ton. This is literally the starting point that dictates everything else we're going to see downstream today. It's basically the pulse of the production side, way before any regional factors even enter the mix. Moving on to Section 2, Western Bazaars. We're looking at the USA and Europe, or as I like to call it right now, the stagnant West. We are currently looking at a pretty perfectly stagnant West. Over in the US, weak demand and flat production costs mean steady prices across the board for both extrusion and injection molding grades. Meanwhile, over in Europe, a classic summer slowdown has practically ground trading to a halt. But here's the interesting part. Despite all this sluggishness on both sides of the pond, DDP North Europe pricing is actually staying incredibly stable. It's very much a waiting game over there right now. Okay, Section 3, Eastern Bazaars. Let's head over to China and India to look at the cautious East. So, looking at China, the market has taken a highly defensive posture. Demand is incredibly slow thanks to the off-season, and buyers are putting up clear, undeniable resistance to high-priced materials. They're buying strictly on a need-to-have basis. Honestly, do not expect any immediate demand recovery here in the near term. Real quick, before we unpack the nuances of the Indian bazaar, remember that you can empower your own procurement strategy instant win. Just shoot a WhatsApp message with the letters PP to our AI-powered chatbot at +91 93746 24365. You'll get instant polypropylene weekly reports and predictions sent straight to your phone in literally 5 seconds. It's a fantastic way to stay ahead of the curve. All right, turning to the Indian bazaar. That cautious sentiment we saw in China, it definitely continues here, but with noticeably firming prices. We're seeing polycarbonate hitting a price band of 215 to 218 rupees per kilogram in Mumbai and slightly higher at 219 to 222 rupees up in Delhi, all ex-GST of course. This firming trend, especially despite the prevailing caution, is a really critical signal we need to decode.
Which brings us to part 4, buying pulse and market drivers. Let's look at the catalyst behind all this.
So you might be wondering, if regional markets are acting so cautious, what is actually driving those firmer prices we just saw? Well, it all comes down to a pretty clear chain reaction. Step 1, rising global crude oil prices act as this unavoidable catalyst. Step 2, this massive macro event directly drives up your transport, your manufacturing, and your import costs. And step 3, inevitably, those elevated costs get passed straight through the supply chain. That forces suppliers to adjust, which creates those firmer domestic PC prices we're seeing. But here's the really fascinating paradox. Even though these elevated costs are being aggressively passed right on to the buyer, the bazaar is actually seeing a noticeable improvement in trading activity. Trading is surging. We're seeing strength in demand and a real increase in buying interest across key product categories. The market is adapting. And that brings us to Section 5, our strategic purchase recommendation. Time for the bottom line. When you factor in that strengthening demand, alongside the ongoing geopolitical crises that are just continuing to push crude and transport costs higher, our definitive Polymer Bazaar analysis for the fourth week of July is crystal clear. We highly suggest buying. The conditions strongly indicate the prices are likely to rise even further, so securing your inventory right now is absolutely the strategic play. If you want the comprehensive data breakdown to dive even deeper into these numbers, you can go ahead and download the full report over at polymerbazaar.com. Also, if you're looking for direct buying and selling leads for polypropylene, just give our relationship manager a call at +91 93139 24356. I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on for your own operations. With crude oil fluctuations actively reshaping global import costs right now, how exactly will your supply chain adapt to the next inevitable wave of price adjustments? Something to think about for sure. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Polymer Bazaar explainer. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, and share this with your industry network for more of these critical insights. We will see you in the next explainer with more engineering and commodity polymer updates. Take care.